When I was back in music school, I remember parallel fifths being treated as the eighth deadly sin. If you turned in your second semester part writing homework with parallel fifths in it, you might as well have kicked your theory professor's dog. You'd end up like Bart Simpson, writing on the chalkboard, "I'll avoid parallel fifths," over and over again. But why? Why is this particular interval succession hated on so much? Is it really true that they need to be avoided at all costs? Can one parallel fifth take a perfectly good piece of music and destroy it? Or are the music theory instructors just overreacting? What are parallel fifths? Parallel fifths are exactly what they sound like. It is the interval of a perfect fifth between two voices that move in parallel to another fifth. So imagine we have a C in the bass and a G in the soprano. Both voices move in the same direction, known as parallel motion, up a whole step so that we now have a D in the bass and an A in the soprano. That is a parallel fifth. Octave displacement doesn't matter. This is a parallel fifth, and so is this. Parallel octaves are also usually treated with disdain, and they work exactly the same way. An octave between two voices that move in the same direction to another octave between those same voices. And to be honest, neither of these sound particularly offensive to the ear, so why is it so bad? Well, to answer that question, we have to go back, way back. Gregorian chant, or plain chant, was a style of music that was used in the early centuries of the Catholic Church. Plain chant was monophonic, meaning that only one voice was happening at a time. And we're talking musical voices here, meaning that one musical line was happening, but many people could be singing that same line. Around the 9th or 10th century, the church wanted to spice up plain chant a little bit for large feasts and celebrations. So they added another musical line to plain chant, and this was known as organum. One version of organum that was commonly used was known as parallel organum, in which two voices would sing the same melody separated by an interval at the same time. And one of the most common intervals of parallel organum was, you guessed it, perfect fifths. Take a listen to this example. That is an uninterrupted string of parallel fifths that would make Bach turn over in his grave. So clearly, during this time period, nobody had an issue with parallel fifths. But around the year 1300, the first dissent began. Johannes de Garlandia wrote a musical treatise that discouraged the practice of the parallel fifth. But regardless, in the year 1300, the practice was still common. But as we moved away from the medieval and towards the Renaissance, parallel fifths and octaves became less and less acceptable. But why the sudden change of heart? As we move forward towards the Renaissance and beyond, the concept of polyphony became the main focus, building off the concepts of organum and the work of the Notre Dame school. Polyphonic music is made up of many musical voices all happening at the same time. The goal of this music is vocal independence. Each voice should be its own independent melody that was singable and memorable and also fit well together with the other melodies happening around it. And both parallel fifths and octaves are detrimental to these ideas in two main ways. The first is melodic independence. When a note sounds from a person singing or a musical instrument, we don't just hear that one note. We also hear a combination of overtones above that note. And the strongest two pitches that we hear above a note in this overtone series are the first two partials, which is the octave and the fifth. Check out this demonstration. When partials above a fundamental are held down on a piano, and the fundamental is struck, you can hear the strongest partials of the overtone series.
That's the overtones that are close to the fundamental?
You can clearly hear the G above the C fundamental.
And here are the ones that are further away. No sound at all.
So when we play a note, our ears automatically already hear the fifth, meaning that when octaves and fifths are played together, the voices can lose their independence. Playing these intervals back to back in parallel motion will lead to gaps or holes in both parts' melodies as if one voice has disappeared. Listen to the beginning of Iron Man from Black Sabbath. It's almost hard to tell that there are two different notes being played in harmony here. It just sounds like one powerful sound. We'll get more into power chords in a little bit. And the other main issue that comes from parallel fifths is that the melodies that come from writing them are just not good. They are usually disjunct and very hard to sing, and they're not memorable. Take a look at this progression. This is a 3-6-2-5-1 progression in the key of C. So E minor, A minor, D minor, G7, C. Now, I made this just about as perfect fifthly as I could. If you turn this in as your voice leading homework, you'd probably be drawn and quartered. But let's look at the melodies that are produced here in each of the voices. The bass sounds like this. The tenor sounds like this. Both of these are not really melodic. They sound more like an interval exercise, and they are not going to get stuck in your head anytime soon. And they are also difficult to sing. Leap after leap after leap is usually not conducive to accurate singing. And now look at the same progression, but written with parallel fifths being avoided and some voice leading principles being followed. Here's what the bass sounds like now. And here's the soprano. Singing lines like these are much easier than in the first example, and they can get stuck in your head and thus become more memorable. The first example sounds like chunk, 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 end, and the second example sounds like 4 individual melodies coming together. If you want to do some more experimenting with how parallel fifths can affect voice leading, I'd recommend this video. I'll leave a link in the description. But there's an elephant in the room here. These 2 examples sound different, but neither sound bad. There is nothing inherently bad about this way of writing. To be honest, I love parallel fifths. Outside of my work as a classical musician, metal, rock, and pop-punk music is my favorite thing to listen to and to play. And this music relies on parallel fifths and octaves like nobody's business. And it sounds great. Anybody that has picked up a guitar since the 1960s is going to be familiar with power chords, which is what was happening in that Black Sabbath example from earlier. Power chords are just a root and a fifth, and sometimes the octave above it, which creates an ungodly amount of parallel fifths in this music, and nobody complains. The reason is that this music has different objectives than the music of the common practice period. When I'm listening to As Blood Runs Black, I don't give a damn about vocal independence. I just want a big, powerful sound with some cool guitar riffs. Parallel intervals be damned. So if you want to write music in the style of Bach chorales, parallel fifths are bad, and should probably be avoided for the most part. But if you want to write rock music or medieval parallel organum, you'd be crazy not to use them. So yes, use parallel fifths as much as you want. Just keep in mind the sound you are going for. Unless, of course, you are doing your Theory 2 part writing homework, for which I've heard there is a Sibelius plugin that allows you to check for accidental parallel fifths in your writing. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe, and check out my Patreon. Thanks.